Our top story tonight. Rishi Sunak formally took over as the UK's Prime Minister today after being anointed by King Charles III. Speaking to reporters, Sunak said he'd been elected to fix the mistakes of his predecessor. He promised to unite the country. Now, Sunak, of course, has created history by becoming the first non-white Prime Minister of Britain. He's also a practicing Hindu and at 42, the youngest Prime Minister in this generation.
Rishi Sunak is now officially the Prime Minister of Britain, the first Indian origin Prime Minister, the first British Asian Prime Minister for Britain, the youngest Prime Minister in over 200 years. Minutes after meeting the King and taking over at number 10 Downing Street, Sunak tried to reassure a nation battling political instability and a cost of living crisis.
Some mistakes were made, not born of ill will or bad intentions. Quite the opposite, in fact. But mistakes nonetheless. And I have been elected as leader of my party and your Prime Minister, in part, to fix them. But you saw me during COVID doing everything I could to protect people and businesses with schemes like furlough. There are always limits, more so now than ever. But I promise you this, I will bring that same compassion to the challenges we face today.
And whether it's the United Kingdom or just today, we've got news that Rishi Sunak is now the Prime Minister. As my brother would say, go figure. And the Conservative Party expected to become the Prime Minister, I think, tomorrow when he goes to see the King. Pretty astounding. A groundbreaking milestone, and it matters. It matters.
Rishi Sunak's ethnicity and background became only a matter of fact after he took over. He spoke as if he were at work to fix the many issues ailing Britain.
I will deliver on its promise. A stronger NHS, better schools, safer streets, control of our borders, protecting our environment, supporting our armed forces, levelling up and building an economy that embraces the opportunities of Brexit, where businesses invest, innovate and create jobs.
Rishi takes over from Liz Truss, who resigned last week after multiple decisions, including the controversial mini-budget, backfired. The ruling Conservative Party went into an emergency mode to find another Prime Minister. Over half the 357 Tory MPs backed Rishi Sunak. Choose cabinet ministers among the thoroughly divided Conservatives, reviving Britain's economy and controlling double-digit inflation, steering funds to the National Health Service to keep it going, reinstallation of trust among industries and businesses, resisting pressure from the opposing Labour for an early election.
And I've seen how bright he is, how he listens, how he collaborates with business, but he's got a huge challenge as Prime Minister now with a looming recession. And most importantly, he's got to unite his party, he's got to unite this country.
The Indian community forms the single largest ethnic minority group in Britain, contributing greatly to business and trade. There is a sense of pride, but there is a greater sense of anticipation to see Rishi Sunak perform. He doesn't inherit a healthy economy, he doesn't have all friends in his party, and he certainly doesn't have much time as Prime Minister of Britain. Radhika Iyer in London from 10 Downing, NDTV.
And Radhika Iyer now joining us live from central London, where it seems Rishi Sunak has already started taking decisive first steps, and that includes changing his cabinet quite significantly. Radhika, take us through those changes. Jeremy Hunt being retained as Chancellor of the Exchequer. He's, of course, going to need a free hand in steering the economy out of the crisis it finds itself in.
True, Ankita, two grown-ups who understand the economy, as experts put it. So no surprise that Jeremy Hunt is staying, and no surprise that the Defence Secretary would also, in all likelihood, will remain as Defence Secretary Ben Wallace. Multiple changes. The Rishi reshuffle, as it's being called on social media, is trending. 10 ministers at least have been asked to go, and he's going to be bringing in some new men. And it's very interesting to see whether he's going to strike a balance between foes and friends within the Conservative Party. Meanwhile, the markets are reacting positively. The pound has gained against the US dollar. And with me are some experts that I'd like to go across, both from Indian origin. With me is Raj Bhatt of Elara Capital. He is an expert at financial markets here in London. And also with me is another young professional, Amit Agarwal, who is also a market analyst. I'm going to go across to you first, Raj. On behalf of Indians and on behalf of the industry, what is your reaction and what should Rishi do now?
I think, today I'm not talking about Indians, I'm saying UK on the whole, because he's the Prime Minister of the country.
Yeah.
The biggest challenge is the economy. We have the cost of living crisis. We have the rising interest rates. We have the cost of going up. We have the energy crisis. So to manage that, you really need Prime Minister to be expert in financial fields. Rishi is best suited. I mean, he's got experience, he's got good degree, economic background. So I think currently he is the best suited Prime Minister from the economic point of view.
Sure.
Politically, only time will tell whether, we still have divisions in the Conservative Party or whether he can manage these factions, backbenchers. But I'm very confident that, he is the best for the economy, and if he can turn around, manage things, he will be seen one of the most successful Prime Ministers, because managing these challenging economies, I think we saw last time something like this in the Second World War. We haven't seen this kind of crisis.
Sure.
Maybe 70s when we had high inflation and when the Black Monday, the pound fell, something like that.
Yeah.
It's an economic crisis. And I'm sure that he is the best person to deal with it.
Okay, fair enough. And you, Amit, what is your reaction? Because people are saying that his symbolic him being a British Asian is only a matter of fact, and he is already getting on with jobs. No mention of the fact that he feels he is the first PM of color to take over. What are your expectations?
See, the fact that he happens to be a person of Indian origin is just coincidental or incidental. It doesn't matter. His job is to be an effective PM, and frankly, I think it's going to be very, very challenging for him. He's coming midterm as a replacement without a mandate that he fought an election on, and he's facing challenges both on the political and economic front.
Is there more sympathy for him than?
You would expect some, but again, see, he comes from a privileged background, and that's something that has worked against him.
Yes.
Also because of the policies that he enforced. So in this economically challenging environment where inflation is rampant, cost of living standards are dropping, plus he also needs to control inflation and pull the economy out of recession, it's going to be very, 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 very challenging for him.
Okay. So thank you very much for that, Amit and Raj. So clearly, as we've been reporting, too many challenges that Rishi faces, and people seem to acknowledge the fact that it is going to be a difficult task indeed for Rishi. But all eyes on what he would do next in terms of rolling out solutions in this environment.
All right, Radhika, and of course, we will come to you for updates as and when that happens. Now, while Rishi Sunak's anointment as Prime Minister is being seen as a big win for multiculturalism in the United Kingdom, there are those who are now asking, could something similar actually ever happen in India? After Shashi Tharoor, Mehbooba Mufti tweeted saying, proud moment that UK will have its first Indian origin MP. While all of India rightly celebrates, it would serve us well to remember that while UK has accepted an ethnic minority member as its Prime Minister, we're still shackled by divisive and discriminatory laws like the NRC and the CAA. This tweet elicited a sharp response from the BJP's Ravi Shankar Prasad, who saw Mehbooba Mufti's tweet commenting on the rights of minorities in India. Mehbooba Mufti ji, will you accept a minority in Jammu and Kashmir as Chief Minister of the state? Please be frank enough to reply. On to our other big story tonight. Google fined 936 crores by the Competition Commission of India for the second time in less than a week, and that's taken its total penalty now to over 2,000 crores for misusing its dominant position. Sunil Prabhu getting us details of that story and its broader implications. Sunil, what are we hearing?
Well, Ankita, as you rightly pointed out, this is the second, antitrust policy being levied on Google by the Competition Commission of India, 936 crores. This is, of course, for its dominant position in the Google Play system that they have in the Play Store policies. They have also given a cease and desist order and given 8 corrective measures. This comes, of course, in the backdrop of last week, where just a few days ago, when they levied nearly 1,300 odd crores for its dominant position in the operating system of the Android. So we haven't heard from Google yet, but this is definitely seen as discriminatory for millions of users because you are not allowing a level playing field and a monopoly of sorts. This is the job of the Competition Commission, and after reviewing and seeking inputs, they have passed this order. So we haven't heard officially from Google, and as I've said, 97% of this market is determined by Google.
Right.
How it will play out in the days to come is something that we'll have to wait and watch, but definitely they will have to take those corrective measures as has been ordered by the Competition Commission of India.
All right, Sunil, thanks very much indeed. From one tech giant to another, and Meta's WhatsApp today left users high and dry, with the hugely popular messaging platform seeing disruptions globally. It was restored within a couple of hours, by which time other messaging platforms had already seen a huge uptick in the number of their users. Social media too was flooded with hilarious jokes and memes.
Millions of people all over the world heaved a sigh of relief as WhatsApp resumed services after a nearly 2-hour-long global outage, the longest global one yet, and the most major disruption of services since last year. According to real-time monitor Down Detector, the outage peaked at 12:30 p.m. Indian time with over 10,000 complaints from India alone. Most reports were about messages not going through, while others reported server disconnection and the app crashing altogether. Many took to other social media platforms like Twitter to share their frustration in the form of memes. WhatsApp, which has about 2 billion active users worldwide, is owned by Meta, which issued a statement saying it was working on the problem and said it fixed the issue soon after. The problem appeared to be a technical glitch at their end. WhatsApp is a critical platform for personal users and businesses alike. The last time it was disrupted was last year in October, when the platform went offline for a staggering 6 hours, along with other Meta subsidiaries like Instagram and Facebook. This time too, it triggered panic among users, but fortunately was restored soon after. Nayantara Singh for NDTV.
Delhi's Diwali cracker ban went up in smoke, and the air quality dipped alarmingly a day later. Delhi's air quality index was in the very poor category this morning, even severe in certain areas. But interestingly, this year at least, the firecrackers and farm fires have perhaps not contributed as much as they do to the poor air quality as they do in other years. Take a look.
The Delhi government has flagged off 150 anti-smog guns in the national capital. The Delhi Environment Minister has just flagged these off. These are aimed to bring down pollution in the national capital. Now, these guns target the road dust that creates pollution in the national capital. Remember, road dust contributes more than 15 to 20% to the pollution in Delhi, and these smog guns target that. Now,
the Delhi government's big move to cut air pollution. A day after its firecracker ban went up in smoke for the second year running.
वो अभी उसकी रिपोर्ट अभी कंपाइल होकर नहीं आई है, जब आएगी तो आपको हम सबमिट करेंगे.
The Centre for Pollution Control Board's data shows that the air quality index on Diwali this year was 18% lower than last year. But levels of PM 2.5, which is the most lethal microscopic pollutant monitored, shot up around 170 to 180 times the World Health Organization's safe levels in several parts of Delhi. But thanks to the daytime heat and some wind, the pollution levels the day after Diwali are the lowest since 2018.
दिवाली के अगले दिन प्रदूषण का स्तर तेजी के साथ बढ़ता था. आज पिछले 5 साल में सबसे कम प्रदूषण का स्तर सुबह सुबह मापा गया है। 30% से ज़्यादा प्रदूषण का स्तर पिछले साल की तुलना में इस साल कम हुआ है।
SAFAR, the central government's top air quality tracking agency, says farm fires, firecrackers haven't affected Delhi's air quality much. So what's polluting Delhi? The main pollutants are vehicles, industry and road dust, contributing about 80% as per an official study. Either way, doctors are worried. The increasing level of the pollutant PM 2.5 increases mortality rate as per a Harvard study.
We are seeing a trend that young women who've never been smokers are developing cancer and coming and showing us now. I think almost 10 to 15% is the increase in the number of cases that we are seeing with asthma, especially younger children developing asthma now, adolescents developing asthma, and in elders who are coming in with problems with breathlessness and wheezing in the chest.
The weather worked in Delhi's favour this time, but vehicular pollution, one of the major reasons behind Delhi's unhealthy air, is still not reducing. The Met Department says the air quality index will be in the very poor category for the next couple of days, but the worst of Diwali pollution is behind us. In New Delhi with camera person Sudhish Kumar Ram, Priyanshi Sharma for NDTV.
Sections of the stringent anti-terror law, the UAPA, have been invoked in the Coimbatore car blast after 75 kilograms of explosive raw materials were seized from the residence of the accused, including that of 25-year-old Jamiza Mubin, who died in that blast. Now, this is going to allow the National Investigation Agency, the country's designated anti-terror unit, to take over the investigation from the Tamil Nadu police. The blast near a temple in Coimbatore killed Mubin, who was questioned earlier for alleged ISIS links.
These 5 men have been booked in Coimbatore under the Stringent Unlawful Activities Prevention Act UAPA. 2 days after a car carrying 2 cylinders, nails and marbles exploded near a temple a day before Diwali. While Jamisha Mubin, the man who drove the car, was charred to death, police recovered 75 kilos of explosive material from his home, including ammonium nitrate, charcoal and aluminium powder. Police say the explosion was accidental, but the intent was to cause a major loss.
FIR-இல் பதிவு செய்யப்பட்ட பிரிவுகள் சட்டப்பிரிவுகள் மாற்றப்பட்டு இப்போது UAPA invoke செய்து அதன் புலன் விசாரணை தொடர்ந்து நடைபெற்று வருகின்றது.
Jamisha, a self-radicalized man, was questioned by the National Investigation Agency NIA in 2019 for alleged links with Muhammad Nazaruddin in Kerala, who was said to have ties with suspects in Easter bombings in Sri Lanka that killed more than 200 people. Police are also investigating the trips some of these arrested men made to Kerala. The opposition AIADMK calls it a deterioration of law and order. Its ally, the BJP, has dubbed it a suicide attack and warns the NIA to investigate.
Naturally, it is NIA which has to take over. The faster the state police themselves transfer, it will be better for the NIA to act much faster. So this chief minister doesn't focus anything on internal security.
While it's not clear yet if it was the terror plot around Diwali that went wrong, Chief Minister M.K. Stalin is said to comment on this. But it certainly brings back memories of the 1998 Coimbatore serial bomb blast that targeted El Gadwani, killing more than 50 people. In Chennai with Suresh, Sam Daniel, for NDTV.
A teenager was found unconscious and covered in blood in Uttar Pradesh's Kannauj hours after she left her home on Sunday. The police has registered a case of rape on a complaint filed by her family. But have we become a nation of gawkers with zero empathy? A horrific and disturbing story is emerging through a series of videos. Alok Pandey reports.
A 13-year-old girl mysteriously showed up, seriously wounded and bleeding near a government guest house in Uttar Pradesh's Kannauj on Sunday. The police have registered a rape case, though a medical report is still not in. But the disturbing story is emerging through a series of videos. The worst of these clips shows the girl writhing in pain, apparently reaching out for help with her blood-soaked arms. As a group of men stand around her, filming her on phones. In the 25-second video, voices discuss whether the police have been alerted, but there is no attempt to help the girl. A second video, which also went viral, showed a policeman running to an auto rickshaw with the injured girl in his arms. Two CCTV cameras in the vicinity caught the girl walking with the man. The teen left home to exchange a piggy bank on Sunday afternoon and did not return for 5 hours, her uncle has said in an FIR. He allegedly took her to the guest house. With Mohammed Israel in Kannauj, this is Alok Pandey, NDTV.
Medical report still awaited in that case, even though that rape FIR has been filed. Let's move on. A Lingayat seer was found dead in Karnataka and his alleged harassment in a 2-page suicide note. Shrija joining us for more on that big story. Shrija, what are the details we have?
Well, as far as the police is concerned, they say that they could not divulge more details with respect to the number of persons or the name of persons that has been mentioned in the suicide note. More importantly, the police are tracing the call records of this particular Lingayat seer. And we also understand from the investigating officers that, for the last 25 years, Basavalingeshwara Swamiji, he has been heading this Kanchugal Bande Mutt in Ramnagar district of Karnataka, at least about 60 kilometers from the capital city of Bengaluru. And as per the suicide note and also several other devotees, going by the suicide note, what they have made statements to the police is that there were a few people who were threatening and blackmailing him with defamation, and also what we hear from the police sources is that people were threatening, a few of them were threatening him with certain allegations with respect to character assassination as well. Back to you.
Shrija, thanks so much for those details. In other news, cyclone Sitrang crashed into coastal Bangladesh this morning, leaving at least 20 people dead and about 8 million without power. The Bangladesh government said 10,000 homes had been damaged and more than 6,000 hectares of crops were destroyed. Thousands of fishing projects have also been washed away. An estimated 20,000 people are also marooned because of the flooding triggered by tidal surges in the southern coastal district of Bhola. All of this despite almost a million people being evacuated to cyclone shelters just a day earlier. The storm weakened by Tuesday afternoon and has had very little impact in India's northeast. And finally, we leave you with stunning images of a partial solar eclipse, the last of the year, that was visible in various cities in India, including Delhi, Amritsar, Chandigarh, Lucknow, Bengaluru and Chennai. It made for some stunning images between 2 and 6 p.m. today. The eclipse was also visible in most parts of Europe, the Middle East, Africa and other western regions of Asia as well. Stunning images were live streamed by the Indian Institute of Astrophysics.